Can Derek Carr revamp his career with the Saints? We are here. Off the bench overtime, Bob and Jacob Hester. Sorry for the week off, ladies and gentlemen. Had a little vocal break. Happens to the best of us, me and Morgan Wallen. Went on vacation, got some sun, lost my voice. It happens. Today we're talking Derek Carr. Let's jump right into the video.
Good about the New Orleans Saints after OTA's day number 1. Look, I got some excellent B-roll from, there's a lot of great coverage on Nick Underhill's Twitter, Mike Triplett, New Orleans on football. They got good pictures. Taylor, I got some B-roll if you want to play here at the top.
Let me answer the question. He's sure as hell better. I mean, like, he better revamp it. You got to remember, too, I think people forget this. I certainly have not. But the Saints are banking on, quite literally, they are banking on a guy who was benched and then kicked off of his team or told to go away from his team to revitalize this franchise. It's not like we're going to get in a guy who's coming off of a very successful year. It's not like we're getting a guy coming off of a peak. We're getting someone who I would argue is coming off of rock bottom, who I would argue is coming off of the worst year of his career, maybe not statistically, but certainly the results. I mean, anytime you lose your job and then you're told by your team that drafted you to GTFO, anytime that happens, rock bottom. So, I mean, when we got Jameis Winston, he wasn't coming off of a situation as bad as this. I have said on this channel, I have made peace with Derek Carr. And I'm excited for the Derek Carr situation. I'm excited for the Saints season. I've spent a week last week talking about how they're a legitimate contender in the NFC. But there is some reality where we all have to understand, like, this guy, he doesn't have a choice but to revamp his career. If Derek Carr does not, then this will be a flop of epic proportions.
Top of this, but also give me that picture of Derek Carr, because I know that you picked up a couple of guns over the weekend, Taylor. I had no idea you went to Derek Carr's house. Look at that, boys. Welcome to the gun show. If you're listening on radio, well done. Derek Carr's arms, sun's out, guns out, sleeves are rolled up, eyeshadow on. My guy.
This is, I mean, you know, obviously this is in jest here, but if you're Derek Carr, this has to be I'm working out 24/7. I'm watching tape 24/7. Like, there cannot be a bigger chip on your shoulder than what Derek Carr has on his shoulders right now. I mean, this is where you're at GNC and you're taking creatine, you're taking tests, you're taking, well, maybe not tests. I guess they test in the NFL, but you're taking every supplement you can. Fish oil, turmeric, anything they got. Beef, bull testicle, beef liver, whatever supplement you can get in your body, you're taking it. Celery juice shakes in the morning. You're not eating carbs. You're not eating sugar. This has to be the max motivation for a guy like Derek Carr, who I think everyone, from what it sounds like, he is a, nose to the grindstone. He is a hard worker. So some added fuel to that fire might be good.
It looks as locked in as he ever has. And then he's talking yesterday, and he says he feels rejuvenated. Jake says, I've honestly just enjoyed my team, just getting to be me again. And I think being in this building, it's rejuvenated me. It's been a breath of fresh air. I never wanted to leave Las Vegas, never wanted to, but life had different circumstances. What's funny to me about that quote, how bad does Josh McDaniels suck? Because
who cares, right? Look, we're not going to talk about McDaniels, but for Carr, I think that is very true, what he said. Can you imagine how miserable he must have been last year? Team that drafted him, all that stuff, his city, his team, gets benched, told to stay home. Like, that's such a break on your psyche, and it's so much that you have to deal with emotionally and whatnot. So to be in a new building, to have the confidence of a team, to have the confidence of an organization, to have the confidence of a front office, it has to be rejuvenating. It has to feel like a new lease on life. Now, what I hope for Derek Carr is that he starts successfully. I hope he has a good start to the season, because the last thing he needs or wants, or we want as fans, is for him to struggle early, or the Saints to struggle early, and then for Carr to deal with the same voices that he dealt with in Vegas. Because I promise you, I promise you, if the Saints struggle to start the season, if we're 1-3, Carr doesn't look great, the offense doesn't look great, these fans will turn on him in a heartbeat. Me included. I will turn on him in a heartbeat. He has to start hot. That's just the brutal reality of the game. He has to start above average. He has to start good. He has to show us something. Otherwise, he's going to hear the same negativity that he heard in Vegas.
Because Derek Carr loved the Raiders. He never actually wanted to be the Raiders, and now he's talking about, I've honestly just enjoyed getting to be me again, and how rejuvenated he feels after just one day spent outside of Josh McDaniels' tenure at the Raiders. And you know he didn't feel this way about the Raiders 2 years ago with Rich Bisaccia.
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, Rich Bisaccia should be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. There's no doubt in my mind that they would be a better franchise because of it. But the Raiders are the Raiders. Like, and it would take somebody like Rich to change my opinion of that. But, like, that organization and their Lloyd Christmas of a haircut owner and just everything that they do there, I don't like it. Y'all have heard me say it before.
And to talk about McDaniels real quick with the Bisaccia thing, like, I'm not going to say McDaniels is a good coach, but if I was a quarterback and I was going from Josh McDaniels to Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael, I don't know if that's a huge upgrade. It might be an upgrade personality-wise, especially since Dennis Allen drafted Derek Carr. And I know they have a rapport. They're friendly, but I mean, it's not like they're going from. It's not like he's going to Andy Reid or he's going to some guy or even Sean Payton, some guy who you know is going to take care of you. I mean, what Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen showed us last year, I would be nervous if I was any offensive player coming into the system.
It doesn't matter what city they're in; they're still the Raiders, and so I could actually get behind this. I know it seems and sounds like all-season fluff, but I've changed franchises before, and I felt like, man, am I done? Is this how it's going to end? And you're down. You're like, wait a minute, man. I thought I played my best ball last year. And then you get replaced. You're like, what the hell? And then you go somewhere else and you're like, oh, y'all want me? Y'all value me? And you kind of sit up a little bit and you get a little excitement going and it can change. You know how long that lasts? I don't know. For me,
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Me and Jacob, we've really been on the same wavelength for a few videos now. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This is off-season fluff. And it makes sense. Even think about it with your life, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever had a job you hated and you get a new job, the first couple of weeks, the first month or whatever, you're feeling like $1 million. You know, this place hired me. It's all new. It's all shiny. I like it. But life just happens and that wears off. And, you know, stress or negativity or whatever creeps in. And then all of a sudden, you're just in a routine. If Derek Carr struggles early, I promise you, all of that, you know, they want me here. I'm rejuvenated. I'm this. I'm that. That will go away. 100%. It is imperative that him and the Saints start hot. We certainly should. I've gone over the schedule at length on this channel, so y'all know how easy the schedule is. They have to take advantage of that. If they go 5-0, 6-0, 4-2, the city will embrace Derek Carr. The city will embrace this team. Especially because the Pelicans were bad. You know, this city was ready to swap from the Saints to the Pelicans. And then the Pelicans completely, you know, screwed everything up. So the city is yearning for the Saints. I can tell you that. Everywhere I go, we're ready to roll. And if the Saints can do something early and give us some wins, give us some good-looking football, I think Derek Carr will be very, very happy in the spot he's at.
It was like a year and a half. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to retire. But, like, you just don't know how long that's going to last. And, like, New Orleans is a hell of a city, hell of a franchise as far as making you feel wanted.
Yeah.
And the family atmosphere of it, which obviously is very important to Derek Carr. So, for all of those reasons, it might sound like an all-season story that we're just throwing out there, but I can get behind that. There is something to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, like, you get benched and replaced for Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And now,
Josh, you're a joke, dude.
You have someone who's coached you before, wanted you back again in Dennis Allen. They truly value you. You know, right, wrong, or different, if it works out or not. They go get you. They pay you money. And then now it's like, hey, this is your franchise. You want Foster Moreau in here? Yeah, let's go get him.
Yeah. Sure.
Hey, Hunter Renfrow might be available. Like, if that's a conversation, if they go get him, that shows you what they think of Derek Carr in that building, that they'd go make a move like that.
No doubt about it. Like the Saints have put their chips on the table. The Saints made their choice. Whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, the franchise is on Derek Carr's shoulders. Like, that is just it. That is as simple as I can make the situation. The Saints, for the next 2 years, 3 years, will go as far as Derek Carr takes us. If Derek Carr is mediocre, the Saints will be mediocre. If Derek Carr is bad, the Saints will be bad. But if he's good or great, Saints will be good or great. We're all in with Derek Carr, especially with what Jacob's talking about here, where now we're making moves to appease Derek Carr. Now we're in the business of, what else do you want to be comfortable? Is it Foster Moreau? Is it Hunter Renfrow? Is it Devontae Adams? What do you want us to do? You know, he's being completely propped up by this organization, which I think you should do when you make a big deal for a franchise-altering quarterback. You should make them feel comfortable. You should bring them into the decision-making process. We will find out if that is good or bad, but I think the Saints are handling this well.
When I went to Denver, I've told the story 1,000 times. Like, I got signed because of Peyton Manning. Like,
yep.
You know, Brandon Stokely was probably there because of Peyton Manning. You know, Jacob Tamme was probably there because of Peyton Manning. Because they like, hey, what do you need? What do you need here? And we'll make it happen. And that can go a long way. Now, you can't give him full ownership, obviously, but like, he has a belief now that his franchise is fully behind him, which at that position, it goes a very long way. Where
for sure.
In Las Vegas, it feels like he didn't feel that at all last year. And
absolutely not. Well, that's interesting, right? Because they did go get Devontae Adams, and that's Derek Carr's like best friend. So it's hard for me. Okay, so you got to give the Raiders that. The Raiders did go get Devontae Adams for Derek Carr, and Derek Carr fumbled that. Derek Carr had multiple games last year where Devontae Adams had like 2 catches. So they did try and appease him. They did try and give him, some people would say, is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Some people might say is the best wide receiver in the NFL, who also is his college teammate, who also is his best friend. So you could argue that the Raiders did more for Derek Carr in the offseason last year than the Saints have done for them this year, or done for him this year. So at some point, though, it has to be on Derek Carr. You can only give and give and give and give so much before it's just like, all right, Derek, now you got to go win. Now you got to go be the man. And that's where my hesitation is. Because if he couldn't do it with Devontae Adams, or if he couldn't make Devontae Adams great, or as good as he was in Green Bay at least, how am I supposed to be excited about Foster Moreau? How am I supposed to be excited about potentially Hunter Renfrow? Do I think just because Renfrow and Carr played together that all of a sudden like Carr's going to be able to turn him into something? Because he couldn't do it with the best receiver in the game.
McDaniels comes in and you're not his guy, you're not his quarterback, and how much did that affect his play?
Yeah, and so obviously got very bad at the end. And so, yeah, there is a human thing where if any of us, Jake, were to get lured to a new job and when somebody literally wooed us away, like you want to reward them. It's a new environment. It's way more positive environment. It's a place
said that 10 minutes
much
ago.
more stable and used to winning than has the Raiders franchise that you've only known. Like, that's the other part about this. Derek Carr's only known one thing in his adult professional career. And as someone who has only known a couple of things, right, the new thing is always a bit exciting. Just kind of inherently.
For sure.
And
everything new is exciting.
Good when you go from a franchise like the Raiders that has been so incompetent, so up and down, literal franchise moving cities, to someone who, as weird as this may sound, has been one of the pictures of stability across.
All right. I got to push back on this too. We're not the Patriots. Okay, we're not that. We're not the Chiefs. We've had a lot of turnover. I hate when people say this. I hate when people are like, the Saints are the picture of stability. No, we are not. We were when we had Drew Brees. We were when we had Sean Payton. We are not. The only stability we have right now is Mickey Loomis. And that's like the GM can't be the foundational rock of stability. Right now, the Saints are in a tumultuous time. Look at me just dropping tumultuous like it's nothing. We are in a tumultuous time, okay? We do not have a culture. I have was well documented on this channel. We do not have a culture right now. We are in a transitional period with the culture, with everything to do with the team. So this idea that the Saints are this stable rock of a team is just not true. It's flat out not true. And we got a lot of people who think that just lasts forever. It don't, okay? It does not. The Green Bay Packers have been as stable as it possibly gets over the last 30 years. Would you say that they're a stable rock of a team right now? I would not, because they are in huge flux. They have a new quarterback coming in that no one knows if they can play. They lost one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. It's not the same team. Just because the jersey stays the same, just because the stadium's in the same spot, just because the street address of the headquarters stays the same, that doesn't make a team the same. The Patriots are stable because they still have Bill Belichick. They still have Robert Kraft. They still have the same philosophy, the same culture. All that stuff is still in place. So that's why they are the Saints. The Saints are not like that. The Dennis Allen has to find a culture to this team. If we want the Saints to be back to being that stable rock, which no doubt about it, when they had Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they were a stable team. The Saints that I watched last year looked nothing like the Saints I watched during the Sean Payton and Drew Brees era. That's just the facts. Teams can change. Cultures come and go. Philosophy comes and goes. The Chiefs now are totally different than the Chiefs were before Andy Reid and before Patrick Mahomes. The Bengals right now are about as stable as it gets. And why is that? Because of Joe Burrow. Because of Jamar Chase. And look how fast that switched. Would you have said the Bengals were a stable franchise 5 years ago? Hell no. Absolutely not. They're one of the most unstable franchises. Okay? So we cannot rest on our laurels that the Saints are a better situation than the Raiders. Dennis Allen has still yet to go over 500 for a season. Pete Carmichael has yet to do literally anything. And Derek Carr is coming off of getting benched and replaced. So stable, not what we are. I have a positive outlook on this season. I'm excited for this season, but let's not fool ourselves and take past success and act like they're just going to transfer over no matter what.
The NFL over the past 2 decades, and that are the New Orleans Saints. So, you and Flynn are always joking about what a complete kind of clown show an entire franchise is. So just on a competence level, it has to feel better to be a part of what's going on over there at Airline Highway.
Without question. I mean, it can change. You assume all 32 are the same, and it's just not the case.
Yeah, no doubt.
And look, I was with the Saints for a camp, and I felt like the love that you get when you walk in that building and just everything in that locker room, just being there a short period of time, you can tell different locker rooms. And in my opinion, it is what it is. I'm a Raider hater. I just don't think there's a great culture there.
Yeah.
Now, again, I think Bisaccia could have gotten that, but they didn't allow that because they're the Raiders, and they wanted to go hire a guy who had failed in the same division, who they beat up on when he was in the West. Neither here nor there. The Saints aren't that franchise. Like when you look at that poll, whoever did that poll and they were, hey, give us a rating of this, that, and the other. I mean, the Saints finished pretty high.
Yeah, true.
Certainly for the people in that building. Like there was some facility, maybe things that didn't grade as high, whatever, but people in that building, they graded extremely high. And so every franchise is going to be different. And that was one of the things this weekend. You're sitting there, you're talking with a bunch of your old teammates who you've all been a couple of different places, and you kind of talk it out, and you're like, man.
I'll give you another example. Jacksonville is a perfect example. With Urban Meyer, same roster, same everything. I would assume the culture and all that stuff was terrible, very toxic and brutal. Switches to Peterson, and all of a sudden, boom. They're probably a shining example of a stable culture, stable locker room, stable franchise. That's a 1-year difference, right? That's what it takes. We just don't know yet. We have a lot of question marks for the Saints. And I've been super critical of Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. I hope they prove me wrong. But we're asking a lot out of 3 people who are enormous question marks.
Wait, they do that there?
Yeah.
Like in a good and a bad way. And you hear Flynn talk about Green Bay all the time and how much he loved it compared to some of the other places that he was, because not everybody does it the same. Some places help you, set you up for success. They're going to help guide you there, give you everything that you possibly need there. And from my experience, from talking to others, the Saints, that's an organization that's going to do that.
And, Jake, I've saved the best for last. Derek Carr went 8 of 8 in competitive situations yesterday, boys. Perfect 100% completion percentage. Let's freaking ride, dude. And I know we've pointed out before, but Derek Carr, Pete Carmichael, okay? A match made in heaven.
I'm telling y'all, I mean, y'all better go in the comments below and thank me for putting out these videos. If y'all had, trust me, when I was on vocal rest last week, sunscreened out of my mind, I felt bad because I knew. I actually had this thought. I said, you know what? While I'm on vocal rest, healing up my larynx, the people who watch this channel, they're forced to watch. They're forced to watch the local New Orleans media. And what am I subjecting y'all to at that point? You know, I'm subjecting y'all to Pete Carmichael and Derek Carr. I'm subjecting y'all to Derek Carr gun photos. You know, trust me, it hurt me as much as it hurts y'all that I had to go on vocal rest for a week, and y'all had to you know, deal with this. I apologize, but don't worry, Daddy's back.
Here's what Derek Carr had to say about Pete Carmichael. Quote, "You talk to Pete Carmichael for 5 minutes and you fall in love with that guy." Here's what Pete Carmichael had to say on Derek Carr. Quote, "I don't know what time the dinner started, but I didn't get home till late. It could have gone on forever. I just think for us from the beginning, it was a real comfortable walking away from that thinking, I think this guy is a great fit for us." How about it, Jake? These two sound like a match made in heaven. They're both in this weird sort of need to prove themselves outside of their previous relationship sort of time. Like, they're both on the rebound, and they come to each other at a time where they could help each other immensely in putting a great public face on for this rebound. Love seeing this. Actually do love seeing him talk about his kind of process, working with Olave, working with Juwan Johnson. Probably the play of the day yesterday was a leaping catch that Olave had over Marcus May. And I really love where after practice, Derek Carr's like, yeah, you know, I was off balance. That was one of those things where we're in practice. I just wanted to see like what would happen. I'm just going to throw it up, kind of an ill-advised throw, risky throw. Will he make me right? How do you establish trust? And sure enough, Chris Olave goes up and comes down with the big catch.
Well, I mean, look, he's a first-round pick. This is your new quarterback that you gave a lot of money to. They've got to be on the same page. That chemistry has to be at a very elite level. So when you look at some of the situations out there for the Saints and things that they're working on, obviously it's been written already a bunch of times yesterday. It'll be written again today. Like, you know, contested catches for Chris Olave is something that he's been trying to work on. So
I don't care at all about OTAs or practice or training camp. I don't care at all about that stuff, by the way. So if you ever see any kind of statistic, Derek Carr went 20 of 20, Chris Olave leaping catch, whatever, I'd totally write that off. Could care less. That's just where I come from on this.
So why not in a situation like that, throw it up there, let him go and get it? Because Chris Olave, because of Mike Thomas and the uncertainty there, he is going to be your biggest weapon on offense.
Yeah.
For sure. Unless Thomas is
situation.
Back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got good players in other places, but he's got to be the star.
Yep.
So 8 of 8 in competitive situations. And here's my other big OTA day one takeaways. Jamal Williams had a anime mask on, which when
okay, that's where we'll end it. We're not doing that. We're not doing that at all. Look, summarize here. Derek Carr has to revamp his career. So let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Derek Carr will revamp his career with the Saints? What do you think about everything we talked about here today? Where do you see this going? How do you see the season? Where are you at right now? Hearing the Derek Carr rumbling, some of the stuff from camp, some of the stuff about Pete Carmichael. Where do you come down on that, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Sorry for the week-long vocal rest, but I'm back, and I will see you in the next video.